Okay, so good afternoon. And what did you have before this? What was the subject?
OT, sir.
Okay, OT. Okay, good. So the reason why I thought I should start the class 15 minutes ahead was primarily because there was one small element which we did not discuss. And so in a sense, it's 18 hours of class. So at some point, if we slip it up, then it, could have the domino effect and we end up having a longer period. So anyway, since you guys are here, we'll do that. What we discuss, this is a lot of slides here, so I don't know how to end show. Yeah, so we went all over this place. We did VRIO model. We did all this. And then we said, let's hang on for a while and talk about the 4 Ps. And we also did that. We talked about product, place, promotion, and price. And like you were saying, is that the product also, how do you excite the customer of the product? Is that just the who is interested in plain water, right? I mean, so you may want to add some minerals to it. And that's why the whole idea of mineral water. So and then you say clean water and then things like that. And then we looked at where do we bring all this up? How do we distribute it? How do we work on it? Then promotion is all branding. We didn't talk much about it because eventually we'll talk about it in greater length on the subject of branding. And price is also something I haven't spoken much because price also as a subject we will talk in greater length. So that if that's what we completed in our previous class, we left out one part of the discussion. Let's see, I think all this is done. We did product life strategy and then got along. Yeah, I think we covered quite a bit. There was only a small element. I'm only going through so that I get my grip of the conversation. Okay. Okay, I'll just probably stop here and say, generally we talk about the, I think it's time to go full screen from this page onwards. So generally we are used to the, you remember the question that I asked you, if you want, what is that story? If you want, there was something that I put on our WhatsApp group. If you want a, yeah, Uber truck is one thing. There was one more. I wanted you guys to fill in the blanks. I don't remember that.
CMO.
Yeah. So what was that question actually?
To hear a good story, talk to the CEO. To hear the real
if it's a good story,
talk to the CEO.
Okay.
To hear the real story, talk to the CTO.
Of course, right. I mean, right. The CEO is always telling you good stories. The CTO will tell you the troubles in life. And then I told you that why don't you help fill up that that blank, which was talk to a dash story, talk to a CMO, standing Chief Marketing Officer. So what I thought, I mean, I also prompted you to look at it. So the point was, what's the big difference between the P's and the C's? I'm asking you now, what is the big difference? We learned about the 4 P's, but then I told you the 4 P's are outdated. So if we talk about the 4 C's, the 4 P's are product, place, price, and promotion. All of that seen from a company's perspective, not necessarily seen from a consumer or a customer perspective. So I thought you would give me an answer like, if you want to hear a good customer story, if you want to hear a good customer story, talk to a CMO or something like that. So the point is, while we talk about the 7 P's and the 4 P's, We should stop talking about them and start talking about what the customer's needs are, what the customer, it's not price. Price is a very variable thing, right? What is 10 rupees for me is probably one micro percentage of my income, but 10 rupees could be a large amount for somebody down the poverty line. So it's all about how, not the price, but what does it cost for that person to provide the service. And one particular example, how do you do price versus cost comparison is, uh, you've seen these, I mean, as a Bangalorean, you skip signal lights, right? I mean, it's a default thing, and we have to, otherwise we are not Bangaloreans. So the point is, you skip the signal. The policeman who also is waiting for you to skip the signal, because he's not going to be there, he's going to actually catch you 50 meters down. He's also happy you skip the signal. And what is the price you pay for it? 100. That's it, right? I mean, I remember on one of those long distance travelers that I took and went. So that driver was telling me that he would have a bundle of 100 rupee notes, primarily with one intention, is that the policeman comes, he just throws 100 rupee note. That's it. So I keep going, and the whole journey of carrying some load or something like that would be I just give 500 rupee and I travel along. So now what is happening? That's the definition of the price that you have to pay for it. But a nicer way of doing it is that I jump the signal, then they make me wait for 10 minutes. Now you see, now it becomes how costly is this jump going to be? The price is something that it's very discriminatory. Whereas the cost is something each of us have to pay the cost of it, right? There was a law which was introduced by the government, which said that if you're going on national highways and all your trucks have these weighing machines, you're supposed to, you have those, what is it called? The truck weighing machines or whatever that's called, weighing. That is, if a truck is supposed to carry 10 tons, so they want to make sure that you're only carrying 10 tons and not overloading your truck. But now what they did is, if you overload your truck, you have to pay, let's say, 100 rupees per kilo. Now it's easier for me to overload the truck than to get a second driver and a second thing. So you see what is happening. By bringing in a price element to it, you're not really impacting the customer. So whereas you bring in a cost, you say that, okay, you overload your truck will only go at 5 kilometers per hour, something like that. So the point is, price, while it may be viewed from a perspective, cost is different for each person as to what it is. So we no longer talk about the 7 P's. We'll rather spend some time talking about the 7 C's as such. So that was one topic that I thought I'll bring it up and get along with it. And then move into a new topic of conversation. So market and sustaining in markets. Whenever there's a market, there's bound to be competition, right? I mean, I don't see there's any business in which there is no competition. If that business has no competition, that's what you call that kind of a business. Monopolistic competition. When there's a monopolistic competition, there's really no innovation happening and you take whatever is given. So next comes the idea is, how much do you value your competition? Certain markets, you have a competition, but you have an 80% market share. What's a big deal? I mean, I'm really a big player in the market. And we'll discuss the impact of that in the last class when we talk about Porter's 5 forces. Then how do you view yourself? Who will sustain and who will fail? This is all about what is it that I can do about a company? What is that some companies do seem to think? Yeah, you always wonder, why aren't companies very innovative? And why is it that one company is always innovative? Why is that somebody is really doing some great job? Why can't they think like that? So And again, some companies are very good, but they're happy where they are. They are a small player. They're happy in the market that they are. They have a respectability and a good market share. So when you start looking at all these parameters, you are trying to evaluate a company. Now, what you have done so far with SWOT analysis, VRIO analysis, is evaluate your own company. How good am I? How good does the customer think of me? What is it that I can do to get a market share? But what we are doing now in the next 5 minutes or the next 15 is to see what is it that is the benchmark or the tool that we can do to analyze companies in a certain market. Now, one such tool is known as the Gartner's Magic Quadrant. Now, what is a Magic Quadrant? A Magic Quadrant has 6. Is it 6? A quadrant will have 8. Yeah, so I mean, it's how much would a quadrant have? I'm just trying to see how many of you had a good lunch and yeah. So how many would a quadrant have? 4, right? Okay, okay, right. So the lunch is playing on you all. So the idea is that the Magic Quadrant puts you in 4 different boxes to see where do you fit in. Okay, the reason magic is we'll realize how it is possible for you to use simple tools to analyze how good a company is. So what they said is Gartner said that we can do an in-depth analysis of any company in that group where we can do a comparison between different participants using a standard methodology. What are the standard methodology that we will do is we'll use a 2-dimension, an x-axis and a y-axis coordinate, in which we will say completeness of vision and ability to execute. What is vision? Vision is the ability to look beyond, right? I mean, how do I see, what do I see 1 year from now? How do I see 5 years from now? And how do I see the whole country going 10 years from now? And the standard is, oh man, I don't even know what's happening tomorrow. What are you asking me for a vision for 5 years from now? So many of us don't even have an idea of how to visualize. We have no tools to visualize. But there are certain companies which have great visions, like guys like Steve Jobs or guys like Elon Musk. We have seen that they have some great vision. They seem to know how to think about it. So that's great. What is vision? 3 things which come to your mind when we talk about vision is, what is that unique product that I'll bring, which will allow me to have commanding market share? What is that great features that I will add to my product? I see a future where, for some very strange reason, Indians love sunroof on their cars. It's become the big obsession. And this is the last country which is supposed to have sunroofs because it's so hot most of the year and sunroofs are not really the great idea. But then you see the cars which actually came up with the products much earlier seem to have a greater vision about the ability to look at what Indian Auto wanted. Completeness of vision, which is, can they really think? Are they capable of looking at it? And the second is ability to execute. What does ability of execute mean? Can you, whatever you visualize, can you deliver it? Like the commentators in a cricket match are the great visionaries. They knew that that's not the way the ball should have been played. I mean, that's not the way the ball should have been bowled. I wish the field setting was done this way. They seem to have a vision, but can they actually go down to the field and execute? Maybe, may not be. If Dhoni is a commentator, maybe he belongs to another category of people. So what we are saying is the Gardner's Magic Quadrant will give you 2 great tools of any.
Photo
Okay, I'll do it. Okay. a completeness of vision. Do we have the completeness of vision? And then do we have the ability to execute? So let me first mute her before I get further instructions from her.
ಏನೋ ಫೋಟೋ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ.
Okay. Hi, Priyanka. How are you? Okay. So if that is one tool, how do I go back? You said we have completeness of vision and ability to execute. Do you understand the two terms? Now let's look at how they'll categorize any company as. Any company can be categorized as a leader, as a visionary, as a niche player, or as a challenger. Who's a leader? A leader is one who's having a great market share. How does he have a market share? Great market share. Because he has a vision and he has the ability to execute that vision. That's how he's a market leader, right? I mean, how does Jio, probably the last player in the market, come out to be the number one telco company in the thing? They knew how the world is going to be. They knew what the importance of data over voice, and they knew what they did, and they also had a plan. And not only had they had a plan, they executed that plan. So on the completeness of vision, they got 10 out of 10. On the ability to execute, they also got 10 out of 10. The problem with Ola Electric today is that they have a great vision. Ola wants to be the greatest, largest electric two-wheeler company in the world, setting up the most sophisticated plant. And that's great vision. They really want to make India an electric market, but they're struggling in their ability to execute. You can see that they have got over it or not, I don't know, but they're still struggling. So a leader is one who can deliver a stated vision. Not many companies can do that. A leader is one who can deliver a stated vision. Whereas a visionary is one who is able to visualize, but maybe still not able to deliver a great service because he doesn't have a good set of people to do it. Niche players are those who are either focusing on a single product or a single location of geographical importance, and they are happy where they are. They're happy where they are. I don't want to really expand my services. I'm happy to be a Bangalore-based company. I'm happy to be an India-based company. I'm happy serving certain X category of customers. That's the niche player. Who are challengers? Challengers are those who have everything in them to fight the battle, but they are either a little lazy or they're really not making up their mind to fight it. So you'll understand what they mean in the next slide. So we have leaders, visionaries, niche players, and challengers. Have a look at this particular slide. Who are leaders? Leaders are those who have completeness of vision. You see, they're very much high on that particular segment or the quadrant. And their ability to execute is great. Ability to execute is great. Now, a leader is somebody who's probably having a large market share or is actually a runaway success. What about visionaries? A visionary is somebody who has great ideas. I can do this. We really want to do and bring out a new product which is going to be great, but they don't have the ability to execute. They are very good in planning, but they're somehow struggling in doing an execution. If you look at challengers, who are challengers? Challengers are those who have a great ability to execute. They have everything in them. They have manpower, they have the tools, they have the resources, but they don't have the inclination to execute. So let's say we look at this from any sector, whatever sector you want to look at. Let's probably talking about the Ola itself. Let's look at it. Let's, for the moment, assume that this is a vacant area. There are really no identified leaders in the two-wheeler electric scooter market. But who are the key challengers to it? The key challengers who can actually do it is TVS, is Bajaj, is Hero, or anybody, all of them. Because why? They know how to execute it. They have delivered 10 million petrol scooters. They have a great distribution network. They are not struggling from all this. They have a service setup. It's overnight. They just replace it with a little bit of a job. They can really be able to go ahead and do it. But they're not really there because they're not inclined to be in that market. But the day they wake up, possibly they can shake them, right? So that is why they say that there are the challenges out there. If you look at the other example, for example, Zoom. By default, we know that Zoom is a leader. He's sitting out there. Why is Zoom a leader? Despite all the challenges that Zoom faced during the pandemic, they say it's a Chinese company. They say that it is the storage servers are located in China. All kinds of challenges that they came, they were able to handle it. And in my opinion, and largely in the opinion of Gartner's Magic Quadrant itself, their product is much easier than the other products because they are visualizing it and they are completing what they are visualizing. There is Google Meet sitting out here. There is probably Microsoft Teams sitting out here. They are challengers because what is, if Google can get 10% of their employee force to focus on Google Meet, they can make it the best of this conference services. Or if Microsoft has a will, they will do it. But they are not, because they have saying they want to call it one more such product. Whereas for Zoom, it is everything. There are visionaries in the scooter market. This is where we have Ola sitting out there. In my opinion, somebody may say Ola has already reached there, but it's something for the conversation we can do. And niche players, or actually the leaders at this stage could also be Ather, for all you know. Ather has really come up. They've been able to handle it. So now let us look at it. Let's say Ather is primarily India. Primarily Bangalore oriented electric scooter company for the moment of discussion. Whereas Ola Electric has some great vision. It's probably right here. They still haven't gone there. So if you have a money, or if you want to invest in a company, who would you invest in? Would you invest in leaders? Would you invest in challengers? Would you invest in visionaries, or would you invest in niche markets? Let's say you are a venture capitalist, or Srinivas, right? Raghu. Okay, so we have, if Raghu has got a $10 million in his pocket, where would you invest? The answer to that is depending on what you see as the ability. You know that these guys will not take your money. The challengers will not take your money because it's for them, it's just another play and they can overnight. And the vision and the leaders, of course, are leading out there and they really don't care. So the thing is, what is the problem with the niche player? What is the problem with the vision? The niche player has a very low aspiration. He doesn't have great aspiration. Completeness of vision itself is lacking. I want to be the largest electric scooter company in Karnataka. But if you can get this person to start thinking a little wider, it is possible for him to position this guy into a leadership position. The problem with the visionaries here is that they have great thoughts, but they don't know how to execute. And so if you give them the money, you're going to give them the money in the following conditions. This money is not going to be spent on R&D. This money is not going to be spent on further research. This money is going to be spent all towards executing your project. So I hope you guys are getting the 4 quadrants of your magic quadrant, or the 4 boxes of your magic. This is something that I want you to put to use when you're doing your assignment. Right? How many of you have looked at the assignment? And I guess they're going to be, this weekend is going to be your date for submission of the assignment. What is the time? 1:45. Okay, good. So I think I may have 2 more slides to it. Yeah, some examples of, yeah, this is where you have the Zoom example, Google, and all of them, True Conference or whatever they are. So you have these guys sitting out there. Any questions? This one or the previous one? So in your assignment, well, you guys, you know what's your assignment? So if you know which is a case study that you're going to be working on, you need to position that company in one of these 4 courses and talk about it. Right? So for example, one of the things that I know is, any idea what are the companies? You're working on Adani. Well, what is the Adani story? I don't remember this one. Oh, and which is true. I mean, to some extent, but then later on, it just didn't really make. So now look at Adani. Look at Adani. Now, what am I saying? What is Adani's businesses? Adani's got into 8, 9, 10 verticals. Yeah, so you got 8, 9, 10 verticals. And then all of a sudden, that guy woke up. What's his name? Gautam Adani. He just woke up one fine day and said, I'll do a telecom, right? That's what it looks like. So where is Adani going to be in the magic quadrant, in your opinion? You would be a challenger. Why would you? Huh?
Visionary, I think.
He would be a good visionary. Okay.
Why I say challenger is because he is already established in other areas.
Right.
And he has enough skilled people under him who can actually drive the whole thing.
Yeah. So he has demonstrated his ability to drive Sunrise Industries into becoming large leaders. So you believe that, and I mean, as much as you believe that he's in the challenger position, somebody said visionary. He has his own reasons for it. So I want you to position this company in whichever way you want. You want him to be a niche player, and you have your own justification to it. So position it and explain to me why you believe that he's in that position. That's what I would want you to. Okay. Will that answer your question to an extent, or yes? Okay. So this is what they are. Reasonably enough material for you to read about it. So when you look at ability to execute, I thought you will come up with some points, but what does ability to execute means? That they can run an operation to that scale. They know how to price their product perfectly well. The visionary must also know, just not enough for you to visualize a product, you know how to price a product, right? And I don't know, there's a general opinion, and we could be varying on that thought, is that Jio Fiber versus Airtel. Everybody wants to buy only Jio Fiber for their homes. Nobody wants Airtel fiber. I understand that Jio Fiber will give you, I think, 100, 300 television channels, or if you buy a package. So it looks like they have been able, despite all that intelligence and brilliance both companies have, it seems like Jio has been able to do a better market analysis and bundle their services into a. So I keep getting calls from Airtel because I'm an Airtel guy. They keep you, why don't you buy that Airtel Black or something it's called, where you bundle all your services? But every time I discuss this with my friends, they say, wait, Geo fiber is coming to your area and Geo is the best. But that's how even a company has the ability, should know how to price their product. And market responsiveness. How quickly can you react to a market situation? This is all ability or responsiveness. Completion of vision is what is the model, what is the element of innovation, which industry are you working on, how well do you understand that market? How well? Adani has no experience of telecom market, but he just has to get the top 10 guys to join his company, and then he buys in all the understanding that he's got. So it depends on how you, well, Raghu may say that he wants to position him as challenger. That's only part of your presentation. It's the ability for Raghu to justify in his presentation why he believes that it is going to be a challenger. And similarly, whoever spoke before, he may have more reasons to believe that he's just a visionary. I mean, and visionaries are great. Visionaries are the ones that you really want. Every startup, they don't see the startup necessarily in their ability to execute. It's very easy to execute. How visionary are you? That's the reason why they say that, wow, this company has a potential of 10 million users. They seem to have got 10,000. And they are a 6-month startup. Now, what is wrong with this? If the company can get some money, they can really shoot up to this level. So they do have a vision. They just need money to execute. So these are the companies that investors would be looking for. And this is what they talk to you about. How do you visualize a market? Which geographical markets would you go? Whoever wrote this slide doesn't even have a vision of the spelling. It's mine, of course, but that's beside the point. So more slides on what it is, and we will go forward. So this is it that I wanted to do. We took about half an hour or 45 minutes to do it. And now I'll move to another subject. Stop share. What's the other subject that we're going to take up? Let's see. File open recent. Give me a minute. Screen share. Okay. I started but did not finish. Okay, good. So I gave you guys some few ads to see. Remember the ads? What was the ad about? One of them was Amul.
Bharat Matrimony.
Okay. Amul, Asian Paints. Bharat Matrimony.
Bharat Matrimony.
Axe perfume.
Okay. Axe deodorant. So which one do you want to start with? Okay, so what about Axe deodorant? I see you guys have all answered. Some of them I have done. So what about the Axe deodorant ad? What does it tell you? It's so unreal. Okay, that's one explanation. What's the other explanation? I can't hear you. The concept was not that much. Anybody else? What do you think of the ad? The ad is a super hit.
So it's funny and natural, but with the smell of, we can feel so many things. So people will feel so many different things. So it's a funny ad, but it will go to the, it will touch to the people, the target.
Would you, I mean, I know, maybe wrong question to ask. Would, okay, we're very generic, okay? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody else. So would you buy that? Would a person buy that Axe deodorant? No?
Just based on that ad, I would say no, because it is irrelevant. That ad, the marketing ad was different, and it's just my thought.
Okay, okay, but yeah, go ahead. You want to say something? I might, next time I go to a store, I will buy that Axe bag, despite knowing that this is an overstatement of things, but it tells you what is the farthest imaginary thing that could happen, and even 1% of that happens is good enough. Okay, but the position is okay. That's about it. We'll come back to the discussion on the ad later. What is the second ad about? The second ad was Bharat Matrimony. Let's understand that ad. I want to see how well are you guys able to do it. The Bharat Matrimony ad has Dhoni, then it has a girl and her mother. Now Dhoni keeps talking about some features, and then she says, "Humko to pata hai, inko batao," is what the girl tells Dhoni, that I know all these features. Tell it to my mom. So now tell me, what is the ad trying to tell? It was. Mhm. Who is it targeted at?
Parents.
It's targeted at the younger generation.
No, parents.
Okay, no, very simple. Is it targeted at the girl or the mother? It's targeted at the girl. I mean, I'm sorry, it's targeted at the mother. And why is it not targeted at the girl? Because the girl says, I know these features. Now, the girl is confident that Bharat Matrimony gives me privacy, gives me all kinds of things. No bullshit is going to happen. And it's a great place for you to look for your match or whatever it is called. And you just have to comfort my mother. So there you go, that the user here is both the girl and the mother, but the targeting ad is going towards the mother of the thing. Okay. Yeah. Very, very basic conversation. We are talking about very basic, just to get you guys warmed up. The third ad was about Asian Paints. Asian Paints. So what is that ad? There's a very rich house or a poor house or a lower middle class house. A lower middle class house. There's a tuition going on. The boy is being taught some subject. And then the tutor notices that the house has been painted. Then he said, "Hey, how did you guys manage to get the house painted?" And the painting looks beautiful, of course. So what does he say? My dad got a lottery for 1 crore. Okay, and then he did it. And then, of course, he asks the father whether he got the lottery or not, whatever. So what is the conclusion of that? What is the conclusion of that ad? Who is
One
it
way
targeted?
to say,
Yeah, go ahead.
the
Go
packaging
ahead.
changes. Packaging changes.
Yeah, both of you can talk. I can listen. Yeah. Now nobody's talking.
No, it is more to give a middle class a feel that they can be delighted by getting their house painted.
You feel?
I mean, more elite class.
more elite class. Okay, what else? It's good quality paint is affordable, but gives you a feeling of absolute richness. So that everybody believes that it costs huge amount of money. So the boy is not telling that we didn't cost as much. So he's saying that we spent a fortune, but the reality is that we only spent a little bit of money. So each of them have a different purpose behind. Of course, there is the other ad for Amul, which is gets the boy as the centerpiece, but who is actually the beneficiary? It's the parents, right? The Amul or whatever oil that was gets the parents to benefit out of an emotional connect with the kid. Okay, fine. You guys did a good job on it. So now I think I'll go on this mode itself. Okay. What is the motive of every organization? The motive of every organization is simple. Grow, 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 grow. If you're not growing, you're dead. The only thing that is constant is change. That's a very famous statement, right? Only thing that's constant is change. So you have to grow. How do you grow? You have to grow in market, you have to grow in revenue, you have to grow in profitability, and you have to grow in size of your employees. Everything an organization has to go through. But how do you grow and who controls your growth? Who do you think controls your growth? You have been learning till now that you control your growth using your 4 Ps. If I know my product, if I know how to set my price, if I know how to position my product, and if I know how to sell this at the right place, I'll be able to do some major market positioning, right? So that's one thing that that wins. Then you're supposed to know your customer. How many of, if you don't know who your customer is, and then just the other day, why, as early as this morning, my wife got a call on her phone saying that, are you looking for a TUV certification for your company? Now, whoever called up, remember, what is TUV certification, by the way? Certificate. And that's a very niche market, right? That's a very niche market. And whoever is doing that sales and marketing is virtually picking up some random numbers and calling housewives and grannies and all that. Is that the way you reach out to your market? First thing they're going to ask, first thing my wife asked was, what is TUV? So there you go, your ISO certification, whatever that thing is. So you must know who your customer is. Of course, you must know who are your competitors and your enemies. That is the only way you can grow. And you must know what is your market. Where are my potential buyers? So what we are going to do is look at how do we identify a market. We will talk about Porter's 5 forces later on. But this guy is called The Art of War. Is a very ancient Chinese war strategy. Well, it's now being adapted in most marketing to say marketing is also like war. Marketing is worse than war. Marketing is as much as a fight for geography, as much as it's a fight for Taiwan between China and US. And the more you start reading about what the big fight is all about between China and US, you realize that whoever controls Taiwan eventually controls the microchip market or the semiconductor market. So you see, the war is eventually going down to certain level. For us to understand, you almost did a little bit of a work. We'll take this forward. So more or less the same thing, but I'll not hang on there for too long. Now tell me, who is this product for? Who is this? There's a difference. There's an elite matrimony and there's Kannada matrimony. Who is this product Kannada matrimony is geographically restricted,
Or to that
linguistic restriction.
elite is again more based on the class of the society.
Anybody else? Anybody else wants to add something to it? So are you saying that Kannada matrimony is for those poor Kannada speaking people?
No, it is not, but it will not be perceived like that. And the elite, would they come to a matrimony to?
That, well, assuming they do, assuming that they do, and they do.
They do.
Yeah, there were one ad in Hindu about a year back about elite matrimony where he said that he's going to do a matchmaking and it became very controversial. So what does it mean? So one thing you were able to tell me was that Kannada matrimony is for those people who have a Kannada speaking or looking of somebody who is looking at. But at no point did you ever mention that they are rich or poor. That's not the segment that we are talking. We are just saying that they could be poor, they could be ultra rich, but they want, the primary criteria is that they really want to have. The elite matrimony, however, does not eliminate Kannada. It doesn't say Kannada people go there. So he's saying Kannada people who only believe that I want to have a rich alliance or I belong to a higher strata, they are coming. So there, the language is not important. Nothing else is important, but just that it is a certain classification of probably the income level or what is the spend level of the people. So very, very basic conversation on what is this about. Now look at the next one. Who is this product not for? This product is called diversematrimony.com. So who is this product not for? Not for the rich? Not for Kannada speaking?
Not for the unmarried people.
It's not for the unmarried?
Unmarried people.
Okay. Unmarried people don't want to marry divorcees? Yeah, very debatable, right? Very debatable. Yeah, unmarried, who was that? I mean, there are a lot of them who did that, right? We know quite a few of them. Kareena Kapoor was never married and she happily married a divorcee, right? So I shot down your version. Okay, so who is this not for? It's not for those who are, again, who don't want to repeat their mistakes, or it is for those who believe that they don't want to get married to diverse people. Very, very simple. You get all the point. So I just brought up 3 points here. Who is this meant for and who it is not meant for? So every market has certain people for whom it is targeted at and certain people whom it is not targeted at. The executive MBA program is primarily not targeted at people who are in between jobs. It's primarily targeted at people who are at jobs and have a weekend to spare. But that doesn't mean that it will not bring in those who are. It's just a very broad division of where do I focus on my market? Know your market.
I mean, it is that 80-20.
It's a kind of an 80-20 rule. Yeah. What is an 80-20 rule? What is the 80-20 rule?
80% of your business. Customers. Likewise, 20% of the customers give you 80%. That kind of ratio is what.
Okay, correct. And it's good that. I mean, did anyone of you know about it? The 80-20 rule? It generally applies, and Raghu is saying it perfectly well. What he is saying And it's more like the rule of the thumb. It doesn't really matter. If you start looking at any percent of it, 20% of the students will only be paying attention. It's one part of the conversation. So it's only 20% of what the professor is talking is actually stuff. So you can keep on counteracting to the whole thing. But in reality, it's been noticed that most of the market consists of a 20-80 broad philosophy. It's called the Pareto principle, in which you say that 80% of your emails can be ignored, but 20% of the emails are the ones which really matter. And as you rightly said, just 20% of your customers bring you 80% of the revenue. And no better explanation of that than the story of Android versus Apple. I mean, Android versus iOS is very generally, Android has an 80% market share. iOS has a 20% market share. 80% gives you 20% of the market revenue, and 20% gives you 80% profitability. So this is how the whole iOS and the Android equation also looks like. And he is happy. He never aspires to be the 80% market shareholder and never wants to be. Because at 20% niche market, the kind of profitability one operator or one manufacturer is doing is greater than all the other guys put together. So that is what it is. Or 80% of all smartwatches are non Apple Watch, but 80% of all revenues from smartwatches is coming from Apple Watch. Just to let you know what it is. So that's the 20-80 rule. And we may actually have a slide on that. So we know all this, right? What does this ACTS do? It gives you a mental positioning of what you think you will become. Whether it's true or not, I can subtly play this ad. I will subtly play this ad to the comfort feeling that you get when you're driving a Toyota, or the feeling that you will get when you're driving a Rolls Royce, or the feeling that you get when you have wearing a Rado watch. It's just a play around with it. It's Mungeri Lal, I don't know how many of you know this kind of a thing, is that you start imagining. And all of us start imagining with every product that we have. We start imagining that this would give us this comfort feeling and all that. But we'll not go beyond because I've already given you something to talk about. Now, let's talk about segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So how do you understand segmentation? Everybody wants to eat food. So if you are a restaurant owner, what is that big segmentation that you do? One can be, do you want to be a fast food guy, or do you want to be a diner? That is one segment that you can do. The second segment you can do if you're a restaurant owner, am I veg or am I non-veg? Which could be one thing. Am I serving? So one very basic segmentation that you can do. Then what is targeting? Is whom are you positioning? The second PU results have come. Then what company are you? I am a company which says, hey, you second PU failed. Don't feel left behind. You can join our classes. And you know, earlier, if you failed in second PU, you lost a year. But nowadays you don't lose a year. You have an immediate exam. So that's one thing. So look at this company. This company says, have you failed? I'll give you a solution. This guy says, have you done very well? I'll fund you to go abroad. So you see, it's the same market. It's the same market. How do you position each of your product as at whom are you looking at? The third is the motorbike. I mean, just a motorbike. What is it in the mind of a young youth? What is it in the mind of a worker? What is it in the mind of a youth? Sporty, zipping. Can I go? I mean, can I? Would my hair go wild when I ride on it? All that. Whereas the worker might say, what is the mileage? Or how much do I have to spend annually? Because this guy is not spending his money, right? His dad is spending his money, and nothing wrong about it. We are doing a market positioning, and so this is a very, very, very open method of looking at segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Now, let's go a little more in deeper. This is called knowing your customer. Now, let's do this exercise, and maybe you guys can sit down and tell me. You know all these cards. I don't need any explanation. Those of you on who are online can, once you have done this exercise, you want to select all of them. You select, or you select the extremes, Alto to Tesla or Alto to Mercedes, and come out with your answers for what is the typical age for this person? What do you think is the income status and all that? Can you do that exercise? You have to pick up both. One extreme, or you want to do it for all of them is also fine, but it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what the categories are, right? Age, income, gender, family size, location, where do they dine, what channel do they watch, and what's the feature which will close the deal. You can move in. It's not a crowded classroom, right? So can you work on it? And those of you online, are you following me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, who's
Yes,
that?
sir.
Abhilash, Abhinesh.
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes, sir. Yes.
So can you do it? And
Yeah, yes.
Murli, and is that Murli from Mysore?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah. I know Murli very well because I and Murli
Travel.
travel
Thank for
to
the gift.
make sure he catches the 6 o'clock train. So yeah, Murli, I like to see your answers. Abhinash, Daniel, Dhanashri, Divya. Some of you are common names. I've somehow beginning to know you all. Sayantan Sinha. Sayantan Sinha. Is that how I pronounce your name?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Yeah. Can you also fill this up and answer on the chat?
Sure, sir.
Okay. So let's say, what are you working on? Okay, good. You guys want to have a look at the classroom? You can do that too. And there you go. So which one are you working on right now? You're taken? Ertiga and Audi. Okay, Ertiga and Audi. Okay. So okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Take that. Let me see what comes up. What are you working on? Audi and other extreme, Alto. You have to give the other extreme. Is that a tablet? Which one is this? Galaxy. Very comfortable. And you? Oh, Mac and Britara Brezza. Okay, I would prefer you take the extremes, but go ahead and come out with the comparison. Let's see how it looks like. What are you working on? Okay, what you should do? Do you have any idea what you should do?
Yeah, basically we have to categorize them.
Yeah.
Based
So
on
typically, okay, if you guys have done it, give me another 5 minutes and I'll use you as the target to give the answers. Are you working on it? Okay. Let's see if something has come up as answers. Alto age 30 to 45. Yeah, what about all other features, Priyanka? What would be the income level? What's the time? Yeah, I have it right here. 2:17. Yeah, we'll give you 5 minutes for you to work on it and then we can look at it. Let me see, anybody else has answered? So Priyanka, tell me, if you believe that the Alto typical age of somebody buying an Alto is 30 to 45, what do you think is the average age of somebody who's buying a Mercedes Benz or a Tesla? If that is so, who normally buys it? Is it the man or the woman? And then where do they dine? I'll give another extreme example of where do they dine. Alto versus Tesla. Assuming that Tesla is already available in Indian markets. That is. So Raghu, what are your answers to that?
Ertiga and Merc is what I
Ertiga and Merc. Okay.
Ertiga is normally for somebody who is in a 30 to 50-year bracket.
Ertiga is somebody who is in the 30 to 50-year bracket.
Has, parents, young children at home.
Okay.
So naturally, his income, I would say around 50 lakhs.
Yeah, it has an income level of 15 to 25 lakhs. But you seem to be using the word he.
The reason why is because there's a gender, and that's why I put a he.
Oh, so you believe only men buy Ertiga?
Yeah, because
Anybody
staying
wants
with their
to?
parents and father, mother need to be.
Yeah, so only men buy cars. Women don't buy cars.
Majority is what I mean.
Okay, okay,
Majority of men, because they have their parents with them at home.
okay.
Family size of up to 7.
Mhm.
So naturally, they.
And so what is the killing feature that would close the deal?
Mileage and number of people.
Mileage and number of people who sit on it. Okay. Service cost. Okay. What about the other extreme? What do we have? Tesla? You
Merc
said
is what I think.
Merc. Yeah, Merc, what
It's a
happened?
sedan. So it's a sedan. I would say it could be female.
Mhm. So now he's correcting himself
If
slightly.
it is a sedan, it's a female. If it's a male, it would be
Okay.
SUV.
But can I see that it's already written there? Okay, okay, good.
If it is a SUV, then I would say male.
Okay, okay.
I wouldn't say.
You should come to my neighborhood. The most atrocious SUVs are driven atrociously by yeah, so
Probably I'm too bad.
correct. So yeah, so here's somebody who's answering it well. Daniel is saying that age group for Benz is about 25, gender could be both, family size is 3, hotel is fine or 3-star, so web series is what they're looking at. Yeah, so the point is, I think, yeah, you guys can stop now. The idea is that what are we doing is we are segmenting that individual. We are saying that if you fall under certain categories, I believe I can present the product best to you. Many a time, gender may not be important, and gender could be, and he has a absolute justification. Is saying that sedan would what the women would buy, and the SUVs would what the men would buy. Perfect. I mean, you really want to do some adventurous driving and things like that. Very true. And what channels do they watch? is also a temptation from me to get you to further segment it, but need not be. It doesn't always mean that the people who watch local regional content don't really have the taste for a Tesla or a taste for a Merc is a wrong assumption. So many a time, some of these parameters become irrelevant. That is what I am trying to say. For example, gender becomes irrelevant when you're buying an Alto. Both people are buying it. They're young. They want to buy it up. And income size, age is also a very flexible thing. I could be in my 50s and may have now decided to buy myself an Alto because I guess I never had a car before and now I want to buy it. But I could also be in my 20s and buying myself an Alto. So every one of them depends upon how you position those products. So you need to know your customer, and the way you know your customer depends very largely on your understanding of the market. For example, Preeti says Alto could be 40 to 65. She's talking about first level buyers of a car who could be okay, I've been traveling all over the place. It's time for me to settle down. I think I should buy a simpler car or something like that. So this is just to get to the point. Okay, now let's look at another. So having done all this conversation, we are now looking at market strategy, which is about specialization, differentiation, segmentation, concentration, and positioning. What are all these things and how do we start working on it? Look at the specialization of McDonald's and this Udupi chain of restaurants. What do they say? What do they say? We are fast, we are clean, and we are value for money. Simple like that, right? I mean, you go, I don't think you will have to be. There seems to be a new chain. I noticed that. It's called Q-Min. I don't know how many of you have actually noticed that place. It's from the Tata's group. The Q-Min has actually got a 3 min inside it, which means to say that cumin, you know what is cumin, right? Cumin is a spice or a seed. Okay, so what is the specialization of these kind of restaurants? Is that we're fast, clean, value for money, and what kind of menu do you think they will add to their products? Exotic menus, menus which take long time to make, menus that can be easy takeaway, menus that can be quickly delivered. So you see, they have a certain amount of specialization. You walk into that restaurant confident that you'll get out of that restaurant in 10 minutes, either by having a quick meal or takeout. So each one of them want to specialize themselves in a certain way. That is what is specialization. The other thing is differentiation. How different am I? How different is the whole thing? We are different because we provide some great quality. We have some great service levels. We are the only one in the world. I remember the first company that I used to work for, I started off being by teaching students C+, just right out of my engineering. And that was a subject that I was good at. So I used to go and sit there, and then they had this company had a board which said, we are the only one of its kind. So I would go tell the guy that, how can you say we are the only one of the kind? And that used to be very tempting for anybody walking, only one of its kind. We are the only one of, and he used to explain to me, we are the only one of its kind who have yellow t-shirts for our employees, or we are the only ones who have black sofas. That detailing we will not mention, but we will just mention that we are the only one of its kind. So it's a kind of a temptation for you. For example, I don't know how many of you follow these two characters called Bob and Brad. They're pretty good physiotherapists, and especially if you really want to improve yourself, you must follow these guys. And they say, Bob and Brad, the most famous physical therapists on the internet. in our opinion, is what they add as a bottom line. So you see, each one of them want to show that they are different in some way. I don't know how many of you know about Amazon Publisher Services. Amazon Publisher Services is actually doing some great service. They are very, very different. They're very, very different. I want to publish a book. The publisher will say 10,000 copies. Or the publisher will say 50,000 copies. Amazon doesn't do that. Amazon say you can order as much as 10 copies. I can go and tell Amazon that I want to publish a book and they can publish 10 copies. So that they're saying that as the order comes, we will publish it. So they are giving you some uniqueness to the service. And incidentally, you may want to buy this book from Amazon, which is called The Whispering Tree of Bangalore by my friend, whose name is Sridhar Pai. This is a story about, this is a tree, but actually in the story, the tree is in the frame of a picture. And it talks about this tree being in Malleshwaram, which earlier was the tree of Sampige Road and other roads, which now have gone. So it's the tree telling what happened to Bangalore. And he did not publish, he did not print 50,000. He just printed 50 of it. So you have a differentiator, you have a uniqueness of service, and then you have something that's very unique selling point. What is that unique selling point? I just made sure that you guys remember it by bringing up USB, UCB, and UCB is standing for United Colors of Bennington, and USB. So the USB is, what is it that's something separate about the service that we offer? You know what this guy did, right? He looked at all these 4 phones and what did he do? He said, I chop off the bottom and I will no longer offer you a hard keyboard. That was the unique selling proposition which took the world by storm, and people had to stand in the queue to get them. So you must know what is your unique selling proposition for which customer is willing to line up to pay you for the service. So that is what your market should be. The second topic we are talking about is called segmentation. What is segmentation? Which among this huge market are you going to buy? If you look at it, the cost of Shell fuel is expensive, but they still have a market. Why is it? Because they have a certain amount of happy customers who get the joy of getting the fuel filled up by Shell, because Shell promises you, maybe when I say 1 liter, it's truly 1 liter, or it has better quality of fuel or whatever it is. So you always will find a certain sector of people who will obviously be interested in what you do, because you provide some specialty of services. There's another story, but I'll skip the story for now. Okay, so what is it here? So we now, what is the time? Do you think you want a break? We started early. You want a break, or you want to do it? You're good. We'll do another 15 minutes. We'll take off at 2:45 or something like that. Okay, so we now spend on segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Any questions so far? You, not only you guys have been quiet, everybody out are also been very quiet. So this is something that you will read, but a business firm must segment its market. Who is your customer? Entire Bangalore is my customer. No, your product will fail. Who are your customers? All college going students are my customer. Your product will fail. You cannot have a very large definition of your market, because you will not be, each market is very different. The highest level of segmentation that you can go is segmentation of 1. Each one of them is a unique customer, but it's very difficult to go that far. Each one of them have a unique customer. So we can look at common needs and similarity of the product to come up with how we distribute the customers. So the segmentation ensures a link between the buyer's needs and the marketing program of the company. What am I telling the customer? If you, I don't know how many of you have seen that new ad which says for that Wake Fit mattress. How many of you recall that ad? No. In it, it says that you can take the mattress home, try it for about 100 days. So who is it? Who is it targeting it for? It's those people who believe that I might end up buying a wrong product, or people may take me for a ride. So then you are somebody who is really doubting the product. You say, go take the market, get a feel of that market, and then maybe you can return it at no cost. Not sure what to buy. Not sure what to buy. Exactly, because I know you walk into a place, they will tell you something, but whether it's good or not, we don't know, right? So, so you enable a positive experience for the customer so that he comes back and buys again. One example of segmentation, and if I was just the other day looking at the IIT Roorkee presentation on segmentation, so he says, are you a side sleeper? Are you a back sleeper? Or are you a stomach sleeper? So we have firm pillows for you, medium pillows for you, soft pillows. Now, this is that level of segmentation that's very hard for you to even do. Through our day, we do all three of them over the night, right? We sleep on our stomach, we sleep on our back, we sleep on our slides. So we don't know what. So then do you mean to say when I'm sleeping, I should switch my pillows? That's going to be very complicated. So sometimes this kind of a segmentation is too much of a segmentation, which would really not get you anywhere, and you would end up having confused customers. Yeah, you have confused customers. So that is one topic. Then the whole idea that one size fits all is a marketing philosophy no longer exists. You must know who and what the customer has is different and how we look at it. For example, just the other day, I was trying to buy myself a luggage carrier or a suitcase, whatever you want to call it. We noticed that both Samsonite and American Tourister come from the same company. Something that I didn't know. But they are so positioned in such a way that the Samsonite is for the higher income family, where the American Tourism is for the lower income among the thing. So they don't want to dilute their products. They don't want to dilute their products. So you have the story of Samsonite and American Tourism. It just makes you believe that they're two very, very different products, but they are actually the same products in the company, just positioning them. So sometimes the segmentation could be very, very large. For example, in newspapers, everybody is buying the newspaper. I buy the newspaper for the sports. You buy the newspaper for share and stock. He's buying it for his Friday evening movie. So each one of us have a very large and multiple market. One product addressing so many. But you may also have multiple segments which are like, for example, SUVs, or which are very, very, as we discussed, a lot of varieties. There's nothing like a segment of one, but that's very difficult to. The one which comes closest to that is Dell. Dell allows you to configure your own laptop or configure your own PC. But that also would make you believe that you're doing a configuration, but that's not really true. Tata Nano wanted to do a segment of one, actually. Tata Nano wanted to say that you can choose your seats, you can choose your color of your car, everything, but then they ran into a different kind of a problem. So the issues with segmentation is you can't keep on segmenting when it's not there. And not every segment is really worth addressing. For example, if I do segmentation of our executive MBA program based on the number of women and men, that's a wrong segment. I cannot segment this on that criteria because then I will go into a totally different spin. I must really worth that segmentation. Is it really worth going into a separate market? Does segmentation result in profitability? These are things that we should be thinking about. The way segmentation happens, is by geography, is by demography, and by psychographic segmentation. And finally, behavioral. What is geographical segmentation? Is that certain products are meant for certain markets. For example, let's say if you are a real estate company primarily based in Bangalore, you may want to target only those guys who are based in Bangalore for the advertisement. You may not do an all India ad for in Times of India or put up in a national channel because you're in a specific market. Demographic could also mean we already discussed gender. Who is your buyer? Is it a woman? Is it a teenager? Who it is? And psychographic is what? Any idea of what is psychographic? Aspirational products. The whole idea of the Axe deodorant is an aspirational product. I aspire to do this. And so the moment I believe that if I have that Axe, I'll do this. The whole concept of Fair and Lovely. See,
For me, I mean, if I look at Axe, I'm certainly not buying.
okay. Now let's go into let's look at a guy like Raghu. So there is somebody. Let's look at the Axe itself. I don't mind spending some time about it. Now, the danger of Axe. But then let's make one assumption that Raghu really likes to put on a perfume, and there's nothing bad about it. So I believe the perfume that you want to do is Old Spice. Let's take that for granted. Okay, so this is targeted at whom is this targeted? Look at the geographical location. Where is this likely to be? It could be in tier 2 cities, because tier 1 city guys are all very conscious about these things. This could be typically the age group of 20 to 30, no more than that. This could be typically low income group, the ones who can only afford 45 rupees or 99 rupees for it. And one who have a lot of aspiration. That is the word, aspirational. I want to be like Shah Rukh Khan. The moment I put on this aftershave, I feel that I go to my hairstylist and say, give me a Shah Rukh Khan hairstyle. It's because I want to be. That's an aspirational brand. And there's nothing wrong to be aspirational. I honestly want to be Elon Musk. You honestly want to be somebody else. Aspirational is in the human blood. Only thing is, what are you aspiring to be? So in this case, I aspire to be like, flocked by people. So you see what is happening. This day Axe knows exactly who is looking at this ad. And for all you know, Axe and Old Spice are from the same company. Now, Old Spice is going to give you a different feature. Old Spice is going to be in primary tier 1 cities. They're going to be out there. And it's going to be a mature audience, which could still be 30 to 45. It could be a slightly higher income group. And what is your aspirational things? The aspirational is, I want to feel comfortable. I want to get that comfort of being, and I don't want to smell bad. That could be the thing. So every product, every individual falls under either the Axe category or the Old Spice category. It doesn't, and not only whether it is B2B, I mean, not just B2C, even in a B2B market, which we will start from next class onwards. This today would be the last class of B2C, and we start moving into B2B. Every company wants to be aspirational. Every company wants to do better. And some of it is how you sell the aspirational thing. So remember, if you cannot give that emotional feeling, your product would not sell. Why? Well, why do you think I told you the story about every Apple user would like to show which laptop he is? What does it mean? You mean to say that I run a better software? It's just the feeling that I get by demonstrating to you that I have an Apple. And it doesn't matter what my income level is or how low my income is. That is the feeling, that is aspirational. Every marketing. And there was another guy sitting probably in this section or the other one who said marketing is an act of taking a person for a ride, which I said in the very first class is what I want to dispel the theory. Marketing is making sure that you get what you deserve, you get what you want. So back to the story, but I hope you've been able to appreciate some viewpoint on okay. So now it's maybe I need to mute this. I know who's this. Okay, anyway. So and behavior, where do they buy? How often do they buy and why they buy? We'll spend one little moment. What is the time? 1:45? 2:45? 2:45. So what is psychographic? I have goals, I have aspirations, I have dreams. Everyone have them, these, and these are what, you know, just the other day, my son was telling me that he's doing his postgrad. Just to give you an understanding of what it is, my son is doing his postgrad in the US, and he's just here for holidays. And he's telling me that US is primarily an Apple country or an Apple product country. And just because he's the guy who is having a non-Apple phone, all of them are now available on WhatsApp. All his friends have just decided to accommodate. So you see, it becomes an aspirational thing. So now he would really want to eventually go and join the gang. Why? What does it do? It doesn't do you anything, but you don't want to be social pariah. That is what the whole thing is all about. It is about being part of the thing. I've been working with a Chinese-based company, and the biggest problem that I have is that everybody is talking on WeChat. Every other country who is associated with this Chinese company, all of them are happily talking on WeChat, and I'm missing out on all that conversation. Why? Because my government said that we don't allow. Now, I am trying to find 101 ways in which I can get to be on WeChat, because that's an aspirational thing. I want to be there. That's a simple, more realistic, but every individual has this aspirational thing and the reason to find one problem to be solved. Okay. So let's take a break, come back after some time. And what do we do after the break? We talk about, so we talked about segmentation. Why not we finish this chapter and then we go about it? Okay. So what is, can you tell me what is the difference between these two? And then we know what is the subject. How many of you know that last week one 9-level terrorist was killed by a drone? So what was that kind of a killing compared to what happened in Afghanistan? It was
target, sir. Targeted.
It was targeted, whereas this is carpet bombing. And I keep saying that US bombed all over Afghanistan just to find Osama bin Laden. And US, actually, the moment that guy got killed, I started researching on that drone. That drone doesn't even carry a what is called a warhead. Doesn't it? No collateral damage at all. So now you know that is carpet bombing. This is targeted bombing. So a targeted marketing is getting exact to the customer who wants it. And who is very good in targeted marketing? Google is sniffing your emails. Google is noticing what you're doing. So they exactly know what you want, right? I mean, how many of us have actually been, that has reduced now, but there was an initial time when we would look at Google emails and Google will pop up saying that, are you planning a holiday in Kathmandu? Well, the guy knows that in my email, he's been sniffing my emails. So targeted marketing is so specific marketing in which you know where exactly your customer is located and how do you do it. Here, the example is a pretty old one. A couple of years back, the Saudi oil production, what do you call, oil well, one drone attack went and destroyed the well. Nothing else, nobody was killed. That was real targeted management. So targeting is choosing exactly the market that you want to enter and how do you position your product to that particular thing. This is where you have the 80% rule coming up. A frequent flyer program for airlines, you know you're flying regularly, so we'll give you benefits for that. I just want to leave you with this thought, saying that take the restaurant. There are restaurants are two kinds of, there are regular customers, there are secondary customers. Why is food really bad in bus stands? Why is food? Is the food good in bus stands? Why?
Mostly it's a one-time taking.
So they don't mind. They don't have a target. The market is you who will come once in a while, include from point A to point B. You fill your stomach. You go complain to him. He'll say it doesn't matter. I don't think you're coming back anyway. But I cannot afford to do that with a restaurant in a city because I am addressing primary and secondary customers. They gain on the 80-20 rule. I think we'll go over this. Maybe I'll do this. Market segment. Look at this. Whatever I asked you to do, look at the market segmentation of Starbucks. Demography. Look at the wide demography. Anybody from the age of 20 to 60 is their potential customer. Gender, there's no gender discrimination. They believe that they have professionals, employees, and students, everybody walking in. And life cycle stage, right from single people to the youngest child under and over 6. They are potentially their customers. Region, but then you see what happens. Social, middle, and upper middle class market. Lifestyle, aspirant, reformers, achievers, mainstreamers, they really want to be different. There's a different set of people. And why do they come? Because they want a good place to work for informal meetings. And Starbucks believes that these guys carry a high loyalty brand attached to it. So this is what the segmentation is all about. So I had something to give you guys to talk about. Let me see if I can get. Let's finish positioning and then that will anyway finish segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So what is positioning? Positioning is what is in your mind. Remember the word. That every time the word positioning comes up, it's what's in your mind. Let's look at the story of Tata. See, when Tata started off their cars, They were primarily, what was Tata? Primarily a truck and bus company, a truck and bus company. And they decided we'll get into cars. So people said trucks are reliable, hence people will assume that our cars are reliable too, which is no doubt about it. So the first car that they came out was Indica, which was rustic, which actually got to be taken over by the taxi market. And I said, this car is not for me. I'm not going to touch an Indica, because the moment I buy an Indica, they're going to tell me, oh, what's your, are you Ola or Uber? Right? So that's kind of a branding happening. So now look at the problem with Tata. Tata began with good intentions, but they got stuck somewhere. Then they came up with Nano. And you know what happened with Nano? Nano was a super flop. And hence all Tata cars started flopping. Look at the positioning of Tata. Tata said, our trucks are reliable, so my customers would assume that my cars are reliable. Cars were reliable, but it didn't go well. The positioning of Tata was that all Tata products are for taxis. Tata products are a flop. And then for a long time, Tata was on the decline in the market share. And today, Tata is almost number 2. How did that happen? Tata started buying Jaguar. When Tata bought Jaguar, they said, wow, that's an Indian company buying a Jaguar product. So we started looking at Tata more actively. Then Tata came up with new models like Altroz, Tigor, Tiago. People said, it looks interesting, but still they were not very sure whether we'll buy it or not. And Tata also knew that they may not buy our product because it takes time for me to change the mindset of the people. The mindset of the people takes time to change. Finally, when the Nexon came, people said, wow, this is a car. So you see, every company has to position their product in the mind of the people. And if they position it wrong, they are doomed forever. Okay. And now when Harrier came or whatever new car came, now we know Tata, everybody is willing to look at Tata as an option. 5 years back, 10 years back, nobody wanted to buy a Tata car. So every company has to make sure that they position their cars very, very well. Okay. Look at this. What does this ad tell you? I remember, what is this guy's name? Arshad Warsi. So Arshad Warsi is known as Circuit. He said, the damage this movie did to me was for my entire career. He got branded as Circuit. He got branded as somebody who's a funny guy. He got branded as somebody who is a second kick to the hero. So no way in his life can he become a hero. And even if he becomes a hero, we wouldn't see him as one. I remember the other character in Kapil Sharma's show, that one very guy who Kapil Sharma had a fight. I don't know his name.
Sunil.
Yeah. Sunil Grover. That guy acted as a villain in one of the Sony OTT serials. Every time I look at him, I only feel like laughing at him. But then the guy is really doing, he's supposed to be the killer in the whole plot. It's all about positioning. Once you're positioned, you look at this boy, the boy wearing glasses, iron shirt with a pencil in hand. Default, this guy is an IIT potential. It's all about potential. The guy could be a very naughty fellow, but it's all about how you position yourself in the mind of the person. Okay, so it's all about positioning yourself to do it. So how do you position yourself? What does your customer think of you? That is what is all about positioning. I'm going to leave you with one. How do you want to be positioned? How do you want to be perceived? determine a position, understand the target customer, analyze and do it. I'm going to give you some work before we take a break. These are the features of iPhone. Ceramic glass. What does it do? Ceramic glass feature on the iPhone.
Glossy.
Scratch through, throw it, nothing happens. High secure feature, you know, I'm supposed to be more secure and more data secure and all that. So that's another feature of iPhone. Then the other feature of iPhone is multiple Apple products can sync together very well. And my Apple Watch can sync with my iPad, can sync with my other thing. That is the one. iPhone recently, or iOS recently introduced a product which is called, I couldn't get the actual terminology, which says that post-life data access to nominee. So something happens to me and I die, all the content in my phone is lost. But it's possible now for me to nominate my wife or my son and make sure that when I die, all my phone access can be given to any one of them. Then, of course, you have super clarity, high resolution camera in the iPhone. All of these are the features of the iPhone. Now, depending upon your targeted market, depending on whether you are in your 20s, in your 70s, what is your position? You may want to position one particular feature of iPhone in the mind of the person. So now take all of these and tell me, for such a customer who believes the iPhone is the key benefit and will give you this differentiation. I want you to complete it. Are you guys following me or not? Yes, I can do one for you all. Which one shall we take up? For post-life data access, let's say. For those in their early 70s or early 80s, wondering if my data could be lost, the data access feature of the iPhone 13 will be able to give you a benefit which no other feature company can provide the feature. So that way you make a positioning statement for a product, the same product, but it's for a different user. For those guys who have got photographic talent, the iPhone provides you a certain feature. You're not interested in the data after life access. So I want you guys to work on it. And that would be the end of segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Once I have done segmentation, targeting, and positioning, which is right now, if you have any questions, you should be able to ask me now. You are completely ready for doing your assignment. With the end of this class and this particular slide, we will move out of B2C market. What is B2C? And we will now move towards B2B. And most of us actually work in B2B markets. Very few of us actually work in Starbucks or you are selling iPhones and things like that. But B2C is easy to understand, to get it in your mind. And now we will change the conversation, right? So I want you all to attempt this. Take one feature and give me a positioning statement. What's the time? 3 o'clock, perfect, on the clock. We'll meet 15 minutes. Okay. So let's pause. Huh? What do you do? Pause the recording. Right? The ceramic phone feature of the phone is for you who will be going on the motorbike and the phone falls and nothing happens. Great. But the same phone also has a super camera. Now the super camera is for whom? People who want perfection. People are not happy with that ordinary phone already. It's everything about that phone has not changed. It's just one particular feature that I'm highlighting because I am targeting that segment. Then you're targeting an old man who has got all his data, who's got all his records, all his passwords. And what happens if I die? What happens to all that data? So they say that you have a nominee feature. Would you be interested in the nominee feature? Of course not. Why would I be interested in the nominee feature? I'm in my 20s and 30s. But somebody who's in their 60s, wow, that's a feature that is great. So same phone, but you convey a different message for a different market. That's what I was trying to get you guys. So there seem to be some messages out there. No? Okay, good. So now enough of that. And now we'll move into another subject, which is called, what did I say is the subject? B2B, but you can't go to directly from one side of the ocean to the other side of the ocean. You have to cross the river. So how do we cross the river? We'll use one small topic of only 53 slides, and look at it. Okay, share screen. This one, share. Okay. Okay, recording done. You want full screen? I can go full screen. Okay. Today we'll talk about astrology because you just brought up religion and all that. So we'll talk about astrology. How many of you believe in astrology? You believe? All of you believe? As long as it's in my favor. Correct. As long as it says that go acha ye milega and all that stuff. Oh, the problem with this, I'll have to go into this mode because it jumps for some strange reason. But I think you guys can see it, right? Not too much. So, but who are business astrologers? Who are business astrologers? Visionaries or guys who will say, where's the market going? What will happen to the market in 5 years from now? Huh? Economics, yeah. Where's the boom? Where's the bust market? Trading, where will it go? Do you think Android will survive? Do you think Microsoft Teams will still have a market or whatever that? These are all what are known as business. We'd really not go into star signs and all that. I wish I could do that, but we'll not go there. So astrologers in business, actually, I can go slightly more. Okay. No, one bit less. Okay. The past is an indication of the future. Future is based on my astrology. Astrologers can go wrong, right? How many of astrologers have gone wrong? But what happened when the astrologer goes wrong? He gets killed by the king, right? He said, "Aapko beta ho gaya," and then there's a beti, and then gone. But if beta ho gaya, then he'll be given thing, right? But in reality, business is like a human being. Businesses die, products die, companies die too. Beyond, unless and until companies are constantly agile, they will die. Now let's look at what do we mean by business astrology? Your job as a business head is to anticipate which way the market is going, to anticipate, visualize what is happening in the field, predict what is going to come next. And I don't know whether it was this class that I discussed about the role of a coffee boy versus the role of a CEO. Did I discuss that in this class? Yeah, because I'm taking
Yes,
two
sir. Yes,
sessions.
sir.
I discussed, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so they were all sleeping. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. So come on. You've been attending all classes, Raghu? You're on. Yeah, I think been watching. What is it? Short-term memory loss. Okay. Yeah. So the point is, as a business head, your job is to predict. Your job is to prepare your company for the future and to get rid of dead wood. Products, some products are useless, right? How long are you keeping that product with you? Get rid of that product. Don't hang on to that product. So what are those things that we will do it? I'm not doing an immediate transition from B2B to B2C to B2B. I'm taking you in the river, and so we cross the ocean. So what are the trends? For a long time, if you look at the trend of automotive sector, it's very clear. People wanted to run behind diesel. Then now everybody wants to run behind electric vehicles. You know it, right? That's the future. And theaters are history now. I don't think anybody is going to go for theaters unless and until it's some great experience. Otherwise, I would rather sit at home, watch it on a streaming thing. That's the future. That's the future. Holidays, will you go to a crowded place or a quieter place? Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to go to a quieter place. I want to be as far as possible from civilization because of all that is happening around. They want to do away with it. We were having 2 BHK, 3 BHK houses and all that. And now all of a sudden that concept of OBHK, you want to have a small office, home office, right? Earlier, there was no idea of home office, right? Who works from home? Nobody works from home. And especially if you're a government employee and you stop work on Friday, 5 p.m., you will not even pick up the phone till 10 a.m. the next Monday morning, right? So that is what I'm not looking at you. Okay. so now I remember we were very particular about our phone numbers. But now who cares about phone numbers? We can contact each other even without knowing your phone number. There are variety. So business is changing. Business is evolving all the time. Should you buy larger TVs or do you want to buy smaller screens? I was pretty impressed by the tablet that he was having. So what do you want to buy? Earlier, there used to be a living room where there used to be a TV. Now, a living room is the place where there is no TV, and every bedroom has a TV. World has changed. Things have changed, and no better example of cash or cashless. So I can't say sorry, I didn't bring money. You brought your phone, pay. That is the way it works, right? I can't now run away from parties saying that I didn't bring my money. So you use your phone and pay. So these are the trends that are happening. But are you noticing the trends? Are you among that company who's watching what is happening? Are you able to predict? If you are able to predict, then you are ahead of the market. Now, all that looks nice is that how do I stay ahead of the market? How do I stay ahead of competition? How do I stay ahead of technology? And how do I beat incumbency? What is incumbency? You get bored of the same thing, right? The incumbent factor. I think probably if I have time, we can talk about management using a pizza. If you're very hungry, that first slice of pizza will taste great. But after your hunger is done, the fourth slice of pizza, you don't even want to eat it. So incumbency is people get bored of the same thing, right? We want change. People get bored of the same thing. So how do you beat incumbency? You really want to beat. So all of this conversation is what we will look at from company's point of view. No longer are we looking up from a customer point of view. We will look from a company's point of view. Now, can you guess these companies? IBM, okay. Casio.
Kodak.
Kodak,
Yahoo.
okay.
Yahoo.
Xerox.
Which is Xbox, Xerox, yeah, which is The red one is somebody said Xbox, and you
The
saying
chicken noodle.
that's Xerox. Yeah. What else?
BlackBerry,
BlackBerry.
Yahoo.
You said? No, no. You said Sony Ericsson. Sony.
Wipro.
Okay. Wipro
Satyam Computer.
and Satyam Info, right?
Nokia.
Nokia. The bird flying is
Future
Future
Group.
Group, and above Future Group,
Kodak.
Kodak.
and to the right of Future Group, to the right of
Harrison? No.
what?
No, wrong.
No, what did you say?
Harrison, I thought. No.
Lehman Brothers.
Lehman
Lehman
Brothers.
Brothers. Okay. And next to Lehman Brothers, it's almost like a E. It got a E and ends with N.
NXP.
Enron.
Enron.
And above Lehman Brothers is Arthur Anderson. Arthur Anderson was a consulting company. And above Satyam is housing.com. Housing.com. And below Casio is
Wipro. Oh, no.
No, where is Casio?
That is MySpace.
MySpace. Okay, very good. So you guys got all of it. IBM, right? But why are they in these boxes? Any idea? Why are they in these boxes? They are in different columns. Which is fading away, which is doing well, which is the thing. Kodak, Yahoo, Arthur Anderson, Satyam. Let's look at the last column. Yahoo, Arthur Anderson, Lehman Brothers, Enron, Satyam, housing.com. Good potential companies, bad management. They try to do golmaal, get into all kinds of troubles. They are out. Correct? So they belong to companies die because of bad management. Then you have companies like Kodak, Future Group, Sony, and Nokia. Market leaders held on to the market but could not predict the future. Kodak should have come up with, maybe they should have done something about it. Kodak's competitor was a company called Fuji, right? Fuji. So they made a good transition. They transitioned to hospitals. They became market leaders for X-ray machines and for films for the hospital industry. Future Group, the big guy, big bazaars and central malls and all of that. And what happened to him? He burst because he didn't anticipate the Flipkart. He could have been Flipkart. He could have been Amazon. He had everything in him, but he couldn't predict the future. Sony, high tech but dead. Nokia, we discussed about it. And look at Casio. Actually, all of us, I don't know about you guys, but at least I did my engineering. The first thing I had was a Casio calculator. And we had a Casio watch. So the first two electronics in my life was Casio. And they lost out. They could have done so much. And what is MySpace? MySpace is nothing but Facebook. Why didn't MySpace survive? The inability. Again, you want to call it under the magic quadrant? Lack of vision, lack of ability to execute. Or they're just not doing well. Xerox, they do a lot of products, but they don't know how to use those products. There is a movie called, I think I mentioned that also, called Raiders of the Silicon Valley. Raiders of the Silicon Valley is the story of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. It's a movie. So Bill Gates says, Mr. Steve Jobs, you are stealing. Steve Jobs is saying, Mr. Bill Gates, you are stealing. but they both say, I know both of us are stealing from Xerox. So they used to go to Xerox and then see what are they doing. The GUI that Apple introduced was also a Xerox thing. So guys, great products, but they don't know how to put it to use. Eventually, if you don't make money out of it, BlackBerry, I mean, we can write 101 stories about BlackBerry. And I was, when BlackBerry got introduced, our company said every region will have one guy with the BlackBerry. So for Asia division, I was a guy who had a BlackBerry, and that BlackBerry had an AT&T SIM. So it was very expensive, but then I was the first guy in. And the kind of feeling that I had with the BlackBerry was, it was, aspirational. You see, what it does is not important. It's how aspiring one wants to be with that product. You see, there's nothing wrong with it, with the very fact that it was the axe of my life. Okay, so so that is what these companies just did not perform. But IBM, Netflix right now in a little bit of a trouble, but other than Nintendo, Wipro are constantly innovative. 100 years plus company, IBM, still active, still running. Wipro, always innovative. When everything was gone, Nintendo came up with their, which was that the augmented reality game. What was it called? Pokemon. Yeah, no. Super Mario is the old one. Later on, you had to actually walk around and Pokemon. So they innovative use of technologies to do it. And Netflix started as a CD delivery company and now delivering OTT content. So you see, companies, however big, can fail if you don't do a good job of it. So that's what it is.
So in IT industry,
You want me to go back? Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, we'll keep it there.
Netflix is a very good case study we use for understanding the technology architecture of
Absolutely. And
we use like that a Bible for us.
how Netflix has been able to, I mean, if you on the same count, if you look at Wipro, at every stage, Wipro had stayed active and alive. Wipro actually stands for what? Western India vegetable products. Wipro was known for their oils and soaps and get into IT and dominant stake in IT. IBM always there. I mean, mainframe servers to now serve. It's IBM now is a largely services company, and they have sustained in their market. So you're perfectly right. So you see, companies which are led well do well. Okay. So now the question is, what is the secret formula for us to be ahead of the game? How do I sustain growth? How do I consistently stay ahead of the market? What do you think are the ways to look at it? So we now then enter into what is called as the strategy opportunity matrix, or more known as the Ansoff matrix. What is Ansoff matrix? Before we get there, whatever you've learned, let's look at how do I stay ahead of growth. I've told you about the 4 Ps. I've told you about SWOT. We have discussed about segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So how should a company always stay ahead? What are your answers? What should a company do to stay ahead in the market? They have to be innovative. Okay. Okay, very nice. Innovative, vision, creative. But let me put you a rider. All this, we discussed 4 Ps, we discussed SWOT, we discussed, now you know what does STP stand for, and we discussed vision, mission, objective. So using all this, so you say they have to be innovative, they must have a vision, They must be creative. What else? They must listen to the customer. What else? Fundamentally, what should they do? All of this should result in
Four C's.
growth, right? Whoever, I think she almost said that, growth. Well done. Okay, so how will you grow? Again, you'll say, sir, I'll grow by innovation, I'll go by, then we keep on going on and on. So how will you grow? What will you do to grow? One thing I can tell you, eat your competition. Correct? One way you can grow. I eat into my competition. I'm giving you a hint. Now give me some more. Start thinking. Okay, acquire, eat, all good. But what else can you do? Lower down price. I said price is what you will never discuss with me. Okay, price. Okay. What else? You should be unique. Okay, innovative, done. Positioning of the product. Okay, what does that mean? Give a good marketing position. Okay, what else? You have 2 minutes to rephrase your answer. Okay. Okay. And I'm waiting for you to give me an answer. That's why I said. Okay, all that is fine. Guys, online, the word that I'm looking for, I'm not getting that much. Expand your
Presence, global presence.
global presence or expand your market.
Not.
Correct? What does expand? Now expand the word, expand your market. How do you expand your market? One, I'll give you one example. Add more products. Correct? Add more products, I expand my market. Agree? Now give me some more reasons how to expand the market. That is over. Ho gaya. Abhi, how many can I buy? Competition. I should do something else also. No?
Target, expand your target customers.
So can you redefine that? Expand your market, expand the segment that you are approaching. What else? Expand the demography, enter into new areas. What else? Next slide has everything. Brand shifting, brand positioning. Okay, very well. Okay, good. Almost there. Almost there. But now let's look at, you guys got almost all of it right. Good job done. But what can you do? You can expand your market or you can add new products. Basic thing, right? Very thing, basic thing. I am Uber. I can go to many cities, or I can add auto services. I can add food services. I can add, you know what is happening, right? I don't need to do. I am a college. I want to expand. I can open more colleges, or I can add BCom. I can add BE. I can add engineering. I can. Only two options are left. One is expand your market or expand your products. So you guys got this? Expand your markets and expand your products. Now we do that slight modification. Expand your products for the same market. What does that mean? Expand your market. The product is the same, but you address a new market. That means that, what is the example of that? No. Penetrate into a different market. That is, now Haldiram is basically a Delhi-based company or snacks company. It then decides to enter into South India. So they are expanding their reach. They're going into newer markets, right? Patanjali is done enough of yoga penetration into Indian market, go into newer markets. Same products, newer markets, right? Now MTR is just one hotel chain. They do MTR into multiple locations. The product is still the same. You are entering into newer markets. Very, very clear. So you have two options. Same product, new markets, or same market, new products, right? Same market, new products. That is the example of expand on your answer. For the same, or no. That's a small twist to it. Your existing customer buys one product from you. Let's take the example. Give me any B2B company. Give me an example of your company that you're working for. Name any company. And we'll take that as an example and we'll look at it. Let's say Wipro. Wipro. So who are Wipro's customers? Name one customer of Wipro. Huh? Tesco? Yeah, I know, Tesco. So what does Wipro do with Tesco? So Wipro provides IT services to Tesco. That is one product, one market. Okay. Now, what did I say? What is that Wipro can do is they can also provide maybe some other solutions for Tesco. They can expand some other solutions. Maybe they can start providing hardware for Tesco, or they can do there are a lot of things that Tesco needs. Maybe so they do IT, they do payroll processing, they do some XYZ. They constantly expanding the services they are giving for the existing customer. So that is same customer, new products. Correct? That is what it is. Now, let's say Wipro does services to Tesco, and Tesco is very happy. And they have learned from the Tesco exercise. What will they do? Wipro will go and provide this to Cash and Carry or somebody else, some other company. So what do? Same products, new market. Are you guys getting this complexity? So this is known as the Ansoff matrix. And Ansoff matrix says that a company can expand under two conditions. One is expanding their market or expanding their products. So you have market penetration, product development, diversification. What is diversification? New products, new markets. Example of that, we began today's topic talking about it. Adani, they were very happy with their product line. Now they come up with totally unknown, which is telecom. They've never been in telecom business. They get into a new product, they get into a new market. Otherwise, Adani is happy buying ports. Adani is happy buying a lot of other things. Oil, they are happy. That's normal thing. This is what it is. Diversification strategy, market development strategy, market penetration strategy, and product development strategy. So this is Ansoff matrix. So make sure you remember what is Ansoff matrix. Any questions? Not many, right? These are slides for you to read. It will explain each one of them in greater detail. So market development. What is the example I have? They had ID dosa batter. Primarily, they were selling it in India. Now they are selling it in Dubai and other places. What are they doing? They are expanding their market. The market is being expanded. Now, the second option to that is product development. They were doing ID batter, now they're doing ID decoction. You see, they have come up with a totally new product, but who is the consumer? More or less the same consumer, the same Raghu or same he will go and buy the same dosa batter. Now he may buy the coffee decoction. It's still more or less the same existing consumer, What else can they do? They can totally diversify. Look at the example of Inox. A very fine print, but you cannot see it. Or Adani for this matter. No better explanation of Adani. Okay, we are tired of telecom and we are tired of oil. Nothing is working. Let's go ahead and totally expand into an unknown territory called telecom, or maybe they might go into airlines. So that is unknown, but new market, new thing. These are what the four things about the Ansoff matrix is talked about. Now we come to new terms called relative market share and market growth. But before we go there, let's begin with what is market share. What is market share? We'll talk about relative market share later. What is market share? The percentage. The amount of sale. But what does the word share mean? Yeah, so what is market share? So now redefine market share. I'll tell you what, in the company that I was working for, 3 out of 4 were my customers. The companies, the largest, we were providing largest VSAT operators, 3 out of 4 were my customers. So what's my market share? So what happened to the remaining 25%? Go to the top. So now what is market share? Is the percentage that you have compared to the whole market, right? In the whole market, I'm having a 20% market or a 30% market share. So you have market share. What is, we'll come to relative market share later on. Okay, now what is market growth? What is market growth? No, you don't bring yourself into the picture. No, we in that sentence. That is it. So what is market growth? Demand in the for. So what is market growth? Growth क्या होता है? You should give me a.
Now you are probably creating, making more people aware internationally expanding.
Now I want you to give me a very general understanding. You understood market share? Market share is what percentage does a company have in that entire market compared to the total market, right? So I have, this side of the board is all damaged. It's time for us to go to the other side of the board. And so now let's look at it. Let's look at, take any sector, come out with some crazy sector. We'll discuss about it. Huh? FMCG, inside FMCG, which market? Licious. Okay, I don't know much about that market, but I'll okay. Lici, how do you spell it first? LICAOUS. So let's understand the company is called Licious, and what is the market they are in? They are in a meat brand. Meat brand. Okay, meat selling, huh? Meat delivery. Online. Okay. So what percentage of the market that Licious have? You know, hang on. Not everybody is buying meat from Licious, right? We are we will later on define it. I guess you're only having 5%. You're only having 5% because out of the other 70% is going to the unorganized sector. It's the guy who you go to the neighboring thing and buy your whatever, the meat or whatever that is. So you have a 5% market. Now I'm going to give you a scenario. I'm going to give you a scenario. All of a sudden, there's this monkeypox thing. There's this chicken, what is that? Bird flu that's happening. As a result, the number of meat eaters have gone down. So what has happened to market growth? Market has gone down, right? Do we agree that the market growth has reduced? Instead of growing at 2%, it's growing, but it's probably growing at, instead of 5% or 10%, it is growing at 2%. So let's understand two things. Licious has a 5% market share. For the meat market, for something is happening, the meat market is not growing. It's growing very slow at 2%. Now, what has happened to Licious over the last 1 year? They were having 5% market share. They are now having 8% market share. So what is happening to Licious? Despite the fact that the market is not growing, they are growing, right? They are doing something right, that while the number of meat eaters have reduced, the number of people ordering meat through Licious has gone in. So what are they doing? They are beating the curve. They are going against the market, right? They are prospering against it. So a market growth is how the market overall is doing. Relative market share is how is my share with comparison to how the market is being performing. Understand? Make sense or no? If you don't understand these terminologies, we will not be able to move into the further sectors. Okay. So why did this come? Oh, this is supposed to be some more additional things. Okay. Market share is the percentage of the total market that is being serviced by your company. Perfect. Either in terms of revenue or volume. Relative market share is compared to, which is the competitor to Licious? Nandu's. Okay. So now, you work for Licious or you work for Nandu? No. Today we have to employ you somewhere. You work for Licious? Oh, you used to. Okay. So now what is Nandu's market share? Yeah. So let's say 3% of the market they are going. Okay. So relative market share is business unit sales this year against the rival. So now what has happened is, while Nandu has grown from 3% to 4%, Licious has grown from 5% to 8%, but the overall market has collapsed from by about 10%. So now when your boss does your annual evaluation of your performance, what are you going to be telling your boss? Your boss is unhappy with you. Kya ho gaya? I pulled you, a smart guy from Dan and Sagar EMBA, and you just grew the market by 5% to 8%. This is not done. So your explanation to your boss is that the market has been doing badly. Despite the market doing badly, the market doing badly is impacting my competitor Nandu, and I have done well even in a falling market. So that is what is the understanding. All of you agree with me? Is that business unit sales this year versus the leading rival sale this year. So he has done so much, but despite that, I have been able to do this. The higher your market share, the higher the portion of the market you control. If you guys both get this, then we'll move into the next slide. So So next we are talking about market growth versus relative market growth. What is relative market growth? Exactly what I said. Compared between Lycius and Nandu, you have performed better than Nandu, which shows that you have done well. Look, the example is,
Last time.
is that for me or no? Okay, look at this. Look at the story of Kia versus Ford. What happened to Ford?
4:30.
What did they do? They moved out of India. Why did they move out of India? Why did they move out?
Their market growth and both share of market also very less and not improving.
I wanted that into
Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now?
Now, okay, sir. Yes.
Okay, so when did you lose out? If you can, I can go back to some points before. You want me to go back?
No, sir. For that Ford example.
Ford example. Okay, I'll probably stick to that Ford example and tell you is that let's assume one thing that do you think that automotive industry is doing well or do you think the automotive industry is doing bad? Doing well? Okay. Or we'll say last year the automotive industry was doing bad. Last year, automotive industry was doing bad because of pandemic, because of people not buying and manufacturing coming to a halt and all that. So the market was doing bad. The market was actually less numbers of cars were sold in 2021 compared to 2018 because the pandemic. Okay. So what is the story? Indian market, automotive market is doing badly. Period. One conclusion. I'm just changing the story now. Just because we're asking us to revisit it, I'll visit it in a different way. So Indian automotive industry is bad shape. So what does Ford say? Indian automotive industry is in a bad shape. We only have 2% of the market and we don't see any future in this market. We are getting out of this market. So they say we are winding up this market. But Kia says Indian automotive industry is doing badly. That doesn't mean that they are not buying cars. Few cars are being bought, but among the few cars that are being bought, more Kia cars are being bought. That is what is the story that they're saying. They're saying that people are buying more of Kia cars even in a bad market. That means to say that in individual sales last year to this year, they have done one. They have done well even in a bad market. And now Kia and Ford have two different stories to tell. So each of us have a different story to tell depending on how our market is being projected. So if you understood that, what is the time? 4. Okay, we have, okay, let's see. I'll do as much as possible in this thing. So what we did is just like we have Gardner. Did we hear the word Gardner this morning? We said, what is that example? So just like we had Gardner's Magic Quadrant, because it's all about consulting companies. Marketing is all about consulting companies poking their nose into business. So we have Boston Consulting Group, which came up and said, I have a new way of analyzing how your products are doing. What is that they said is that we will do what is called the BCG matrix. What is a BCG matrix? A BCG matrix consists of cash cows, dogs, question marks, and stars. Very simple. I'll try to do as much as possible on a single slide, and then we will do. Who is a star? Who is a star? Can you name a film star? Which? Tom Cruise is a film star. Okay, well, let's get to Indian film stars because I have a different opinion about Tom Cruise.
Rajnikant.
Rajnikant, too old a guy. Salman Khan. Okay. He's ever okay. Okay. Salman Khan, not a bad example, actually. Or no, I have to also take an example which will suit my story. You see.
Kamal Hassan.
Okay, hang on. Akshay Kumar. No, yeah, all safe. No, safe. Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar is a star. Why is he a star? Because every film he's been doing is turning out to be 100 crores plus. Correct? So he's a star because his potential is very, very high, right? So what are the things? Relative market share and market growth. Two parameters they're looking. So by default, if I put Akshay Kumar in my movie, I can assume that he will become a hit. So he is a star. He generates huge cash and his usage of the market is very high. He's going to give you a huge market and he's going to give you high profit. Now let's look at Rajnikant. The other, I don't know, today we're going to be talking about movies only. Okay, so who is Rajnikant? Rajnikant would be, you don't have to promote him. He will promote himself. You can actually run a Rajnikant movie again and again and again, and you can get some audience, right? So his market share is high, but no new movies of Rajnikant are coming. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have any market value. He still has certain market value. Okay, I think beyond a point, I can't go into stars. Okay, so now let's start looking at products. Okay, so a product which has, a product which has high market share and which has a high market growth is called a star. Any company has such products. For example, the Jio of Reliance is a star, is because they have a high relative market share and lots of people are subscribing to Jio. Market is growing. People are buying left, right, and center. They have been buying the Jio services, and in that they have a huge market share. It is true that BSNL has a high market share when it comes to landlines. Correct? 90% of landlines are from BSNL, or maybe 60% are from BSNL, and 40% is from Airtel. But is the market growing? No, people are not buying landlines anymore. So BSNL may have a high market share, but their market growth is not very good. So you have one situation. Now let's look at a question mark. A question mark would be going back with the same movie story. I can't think of anybody now. Getting old now. Okay. Or you are not sure what the potential of your product is. But the market is growing very, very high. An example of that would be, I'm trying to give you a good example is, I don't know if you guys have tried out the new radio taxis, and we really have radio taxi as an example for you. It's recording, okay? Yeah. So what are these radio taxis? The market is growing very heavy, right? The market is growing heavy. It's dominated by two players who are the stars in the radio taxi, which is that app taxis. What is that? Uber and Ola. Uber and Ola have a high market share. Almost between Uber and Ola, there's a rumor that, what is the rumor? Or the other way around. Yeah, whatever. So they have a huge market share, and there are new companies which are coming out with their own app taxis. Now, will they do well? Will they not do well? It's a question mark. But should you continue to invest on that? Yes, because the market is growing. People are heavily committed to that market. Lots and lots of people are now moving away from their royalty. Now, one of the analysis anybody does before buying a car is, if I put that money in a bank, the interest is enough for me to take a Ola or Uber every day. That's the kind of analysis they're doing. So more and more people are going for app taxis, and the new player is in a question mark. Should I continue? Should I not continue? Do you think I'll have an access? So we've understood stars, we've understood question marks, we've understood cash cows. What is a cash cow? A cash cow is like, what is Reliance primary business? Petroleum, oil. Now, are new oil fields being discovered? No. Are new oil companies coming into the market? No. So is the market growing? No, the market is not growing. But what is the market share of Reliance? Huge. They have a huge market share on petroleum products in India. So while the market is not growing, nobody wants to enter into petroleum business now. But Reliance is sitting nicely in a good market share. Anything that comes out of that is good cash cow, lots of money. How did Reliance launch Jio? Because of the money that petroleum generated, they were able to launch Jio, which was a question mark. It was a question mark, right? When Airtel was there, Vodafone was there, Idea was there. This guy gets into a market, and I for myself thought that it won't work. How can 6, 7 players? So using a cash cow, what is a cash cow? Low market share, low market share, high market, or whatever. You guys get it. I'm now mixing it up. Low market growth, high market share, but they get a lot of money. They go into a high market growth area like telecom. They are not sure whether they'll be successful or not, but they have become so successful that they have now become a star. And this is now generating revenue. So that is what is. What is a dog? A dog is that product where their market share is low and their growth rate is also low. For example, the Reliance Jewelry or Reliance Footwear or Reliance has so many other branding, Reliance Vimal or something like that. They have a very small market share and the market itself is not growing. So they don't know what to do with this. But you still have to keep it because you have got employees, you have some contracts committed. Like, I don't know if you guys, what is that? PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft is now an outdated I think it's quite an outdated application. So, but a lot of companies still employ PeopleSoft guys because they have a contract with some company to provide them services for 5 years, 7 years. So those are called dogs. No new business is coming. No money is also coming. So any company's products can be divided as start, question mark, cash cow, for dogs. Guys, get it? Okay, what is the time? Yeah, I think we'll probably stop it at this and continue with this into in our next classes. Okay. So before we go, I want you to all know that your understanding of the assignment is clear. Or do you have any questions on the assignment? I want you to join as a group, make a presentation of 10 to 12 slides, and then read the case study and upload your top 5 or 10 understanding of the case study. So what you will upload to the LMS and what you will upload to the whatever the ERP package or whatever that they are doing is you will upload the PPT. Every one of you have to upload it. If, let's say, what's your name? Varun. Let's assume that Varun has actually been the leader of the group. He has done all the hard work and they all come up with a single PPT. If Varun doesn't upload the PPT within time onto the LMS, even though I know that he has done a good presentation, I cannot give him marks. Okay, so uploading to the LMS is sacrosanct. You have to do it. And you have to give me a link to your video presentation. So when I have free time, I'm going to sit and watch the link and then start giving you them. Okay, got it? No, group. The video presentation is as a group and not more than 15 minutes and not more than 10 slides. Just for your information, based on exactly this amount of knowledge, your previous batches have done well. So to assume that we still have questions would not be correct. Okay. Do you have anything coming up from here? Okay, great. Priyanka, I hope you got it. And see you all soon.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you.